Welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I am your host, Normie. We also have our host, Cunado, and Santana down at the bottom. Also, we got a special guest host, Buster, there.
Oh, Buster Boy.
He's a gorgeous pup. He is
He's a
pretty goofy,
needy
though.
pup.
I got mine in here too.
I was about to say, my little one's down here in the floor in his bed. I tried to get him to come over, and he looked at me like, "No, I'm comfortable."
No, I'm good.
Like, I'm good. Yeah.
Is that baby dog Rory?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Kitty's already tried to make her a appearance earlier, so she probably will later on as well.
Might hear her meow at least.
Yeah. But anyway, crazy Sunday of football. We had two excellent games, and I don't know how it really gets better from this, but we got a huge matchup, not this weekend, but next. But before that, we got to talk about these two games. And let me get to.
I think with all the hullabaloo over the Niners game, if that's one you want to start with, if you want to start with the earlier game, we can. But
Yeah, start with the Kansas City game.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I think we like with the Niners game, we've got to pitch it to Santana first. But yeah, okay, KC first.
So this was definitely it was kind of a weird game. It stayed pretty close the entire time, but I don't know, man. Lamar Jackson he can't do it. I don't know if he's going to be able to do these big games. Like,
listen, I don't know if we can really put that one on Lamar as much as the Chiefs come into the game with the 28th ranked rush defense, and I think the running backs ran the ball 6 times. I don't remember what Lamar's actual rushing stats were, but I think he threw it somewhere around 37 or something like that. I love Lamar Jackson, and I think he's amazing. Yeah, he was 20 of 37 for 272 and had 8 carries himself. So
the whole team had 16 carries.
Yeah, So yeah, it doesn't look great for Lamar that this was. I mean, and he even said himself like he feels the pressure about this particular game. But you know what can you say about the game plan? I mean, it's 17-7 game forever, and I mean they just never had their backs against the wall to the point where you had to abandon the run game, and that's what got you here, the number one rush offense in the nation or in the league, and you run it 16 times in the AFC championships. If that's a whoopsie doozles, whole bushel of whoopsie daisies.
Cunado, what you got?
Just once again, I haven't had a lot of prep time here. I thought it was real salamander salad as far as just the Chiefs got out early, and it just kind of felt like they just had like that commanding presence, and I think it kind of put the Ravens into a panic. That's just kind of what it felt like to me
For the first half, at least on the Ravens defense in the first half.
Well, and both defenses played out of their minds. I mean, to hold I mean, obviously that first drive was just pure dominance from two of like the greatest of all time, probably the greatest of all time in Kelce, and obviously Patrick Mahomes is definitely in that conversation already, only 7 years in. But after that, they locked up, and but then the Chiefs defense did their job. The biggest takeaway here is if Lamar Jackson is going to be considered as one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, and he is regular season, but it kind of seems like right now there's a trend that postseason comes and some of the big postseason moments get away from him. And I agree with Santana completely. He's not helped out by the change of the game plan. Like, why did you abandon the run? You were never 17-7. It's 17-10 is the end. But why would you abandon the run when your team is kind of predicated on a dominant run by committee? I mean, obviously I like all the running backs, but since JK's gone down, I mean, it's Gus Edwards. It's okay. That's the only name I can think of right off the top of my head.
Justice Hill.
Justice Hill. Thank you.
Keaton Mitchell came on, and then of course he gets hurt too. And
then obviously Lamar's legs are part of his game, so I'm not saying don't run it with Lamar.
He even looked a little slow though, because that one was it the fourth down or this where he did that was one of the few actual quarterback design runs where he that it's that crazy fourth down, but he snuck through, and he didn't look like the regular Lamar because I was sitting there thinking, okay, he's through, that's a touchdown right there. And then it was like he slowed up a little bit or something and pretty much just had to go down.
I thought the exact same thing, Normie. Actually, Kenyatta, you texted me after that play and said something about how electric he is and
explosive speed through the hole.
Okay,
which he yelled instead of roaring.
Well, fair enough. And that's what I thought. Like, yeah, he got through there, and then I thought the same thing, Normie. I thought that's 6. Like, he's gone. And then it did look like I don't know if he wasn't running at his top speed. I mean, obviously, I don't know what he's got going on, but it did, that was Lamar 2 years ago probably scores. And not to, I don't know, not that he's lost a step or anything like that, but just I thought for sure he was scoring there. And it was kind of shocking that he didn't. The other play that is surprising, and I really didn't think about it in the moment, but I've seen back shots of since then, was the strip sack. And he's back there for a long time, and I believe there's only a 3-man rush. And the back shot is just wide open for him to scramble. And I saw that back shot, and the caption under it was that he's let the running back shit get in his head too much. And like he's not even scrambling for like the quick gains, like normal quarterback play would do.
Yeah.
And obviously that's, I don't know what's going on in Lamar's head, but just to be 2-4 in your playoff career, I actually think that's still, I think media is too harsh on Lamar about he has to win the big one. Yeah, he's great in playoff or great in the regular season, not so great in the playoffs. But I mean, he's still a young guy, and he has to do it in a realm where Patrick Mahomes exists. Like I don't know. I think it's too harsh to say he has to start winning them. I think it should be more like the Ravens need to start capitalizing, because the Ravens fall into that group of teams like Pittsburgh and some of these other perennial winners that are always pretty good. Like they make the playoffs, they can at least fight for a wild card spot, if not win the division, even just being over 500 type of stuff. They're always going to be in, but I imagine as a fan, you don't ever really expect this is the year for a Super Bowl run. This year, for that, it was the case for the Ravens. That team was really, really good in the regular season. But again, you just can't put this game specifically all on Lamar. And I don't know that it's really fair to just say, hey, you got to start winning these things, especially when Mahomes exists, because that dude, all he knows how to do is win playoff games.
He definitely does. He's got a lot of them.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, you are literally talking about the closest thing to the Patriots dynasty, and maybe not in like just NFL. It's not just recent history, but just in NFL history, the fact that they have been now to 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls. I mean, who does that? Maybe your next closest comparison, like just in this kind of time span, is the Bills, where they went to 4 straight, and they lost all 4 straight. Oh, did she meow? Sure enough.
Yep.
Well,
she did more than that.
I knew we were going to hear it.
She hopped in my lap.
But and I haven't watched or had the time to go over every single game of Lamar's for the season compared to this season. So it might just be pundits that I've listened to, seen, kind of like heard that there's a drop off from regular season play to postseason play. I mean, the stats aren't that bad. I mean, 20 of 37, 272 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Rushed it 8 times, 54 yards, 6.8 yards a carry. That's not bad. In fact, that's a really good game in most cases. But, I mean, I agree with you also, Santana. It's not like you're going up against nobodies. I mean, you're going up against the standard.
Well, and we're probably talking about this game differently too if Flowers doesn't get the ball punched out as he's diving into the end zone.
Yep.
Like, I mean, they were driving to score. He has the. Go ahead, Norman.
The biggest thing I noticed between the two teams, the biggest thing, and when you bring up Zay Flowers, and what I think was one of the main reasons that the Kansas City won this, discipline. Absolute discipline. Knowing to push just enough, but not go over the edge. The Ravens every time went over the edge. You had the Zay Flowers, that taunting penalty.
Taunting.
And
against Snead, who is the one that punched the ball out, which is sports karma at its finest.
But also, as much as I hate the taunting penalty, because it's the top of the game, like that's what people want. People want to see crap like that. I'm sorry, real football fans want to see that, but it is a rule. It's in there. They throw that flag all the time. He should have known better, especially in the championship game.
Well, it goes to playoff experience, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the 49ers Lions game. But I mean, not even just the discipline side of it, but Travis and Patty, like, we've watched this Chiefs team not be nearly as impressive all season long because of dropped passes from all the receivers. But I mean, Travis Kelce was had a big drop problem this year. Compared, I mean, he still had a great year, but compared to Travis Kelce standards. And then that first drive, the two of them, it was vintage, like all the cool things that we've ever seen happened in the same drive. And it just, they know when to turn it on. I mean, and against, we talked about it against the Dolphins too, like just being able to go from a team that everybody's like, well, this isn't the same old Chiefs. This isn't the Chiefs we're used to seeing. Well, they are now. Like, they got to the playoffs, and this is the Chiefs. Like and I know I've just brought up the 28th ranked rushing defense, but the Chiefs defense has been fantastic all year, really. And now, I mean, this is where that team turns it on. It's playoff experience that brings things like discipline and making the play when it matters type situations.
And also not losing your cool.
Yeah.
And knowing not to lose your cool.
Yeah.
Or like the one, I think it was one of the penalties on the defense. Travis Kelce, like I said, he pushed just enough to not get it, but then also to get the Baltimore player to react. And sure enough, I mean, threw the flag, extra 15, or it was half the distance to the goal. Like, it was just things like that I just was thinking, like, really? Like, normally the pros don't do this. Like, you don't see good teams doing this. And,
well, I mean, and you can't afford those mistakes.
No.
In that situation. And that's kind of, again, I know we're going to get there, but going to the Lions going on fourth down, like, they had the plays, just there's, dropped pass or whatever, that becomes something that, like, you inherit or get as the longer that you're there, or the more times that you go, you get that experience and comfort level and knowing when and whatnot, like just what you just said. Like,
well, I don't know if you've used the phrase already, Santana, or perhaps you, Normie, but like it really does come down to championship pedigree. And I don't know if you get that with experience or if you're just born with it or if it's a collective of all 53 men on your. Yeah, I don't know, but the Chiefs have it. The Niners have it. I mean, hell, this is talking about 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls the Chiefs are now a part of, and then 6 of the last AFC championships they are a part of. The Niners what's the number there, Santana?
For what?
For NFC championships?
Oh, we're
just in Shanahan's run.
4 out of the last 6.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was something similar. So some of these teams, like the Chiefs, they might start off with duck feet, but when it comes time to get it done, I mean they're on their toes. They're grizzly bears. They just get it done, and that's how that game felt to me. Like obviously the Ravens were in it. 17-10 final score. It's not a beating or a thrashing or anything, but watching that game just felt like the Chiefs were in control. Kind of like MBL said that just maybe it's leadership, because Brady had the same thing. I mean, he did it in New England and then showed it in Tampa Bay as well. Like, I don't know if it's an accountability thing. I don't know if it's players having to step up. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But just
the whole we don't do that here. Like, we don't make stupid things do stupid things like that here.
Well, and it's just the expectation to be there. You expect that your season doesn't end at week 17. Like, your season is either going to end you're going to the last game, and they expect that. Everybody else is hoping and trying for, but the Chiefs, the 49ers, some of these other teams that are pushing constantly. I mean, that's the thing too, is like I don't hear anybody yelling at Josh Allen right now for his lack of overall wins. Or I know you're always yelling at Josh Allen, but I just to say Lamar, being 2-4. I mean, what's Josh Allen's record in the playoffs right now?
While you look that up, can you please explain, Cunyato, your hate for Josh Allen?
I actually don't hate the man, and I actually really enjoy watching him play ball. He's a phenomenal football player. It's just
never mind. Josh Allen's 5-4.
Okay, that's pretty good. It's not bad.
Okay, but he still hasn't gotten to the promised land, and that seems like to be what we're more mad about with Lamar. I mean, what's it matter if you win the first few if you don't win them all?
Yeah.
Well, and once again, that's like I said, that's not my narrative. I think Lamar's fantastic. I've just heard it basically since the loss that it's kind of like a Dak Prescott, Tony Romo thing. Like once it happened, but now
but
they can't even get out of the first round.
At least Baltimore has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Fucking Dallas.
But I don't know what it is about Josh Allen. He's an amazing football player, and he is fun to watch play. But and he played at Wyoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's taking off his Billabong shorts and going out there, Billabong board shorts and going out there and just like a California kid. He's probably got some blue collar in him, but he kind of plays like a little bitch sometimes. He whines more than I think that he has the right to, and some people call it fiery competitiveness. That's fine. We've definitely seen it with guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes from time to time. But you know what?
Aaron Rodgers.
They earned it. And that's why Josh Allen gets underneath my skin. But obviously he's an amazing player, and if he ever starts tuning into our show and wants to fight,
would love to have you, bud. Would love to have you on the show.
We'll kick Cunyato for you.
I would kiss his ass from Japan to across the world. Like, I wouldn't kiss his ass. I'd tell him how I felt. I would. From screen to screen. If he's in the room with me, then I don't know. I might feel differently.
Get some bruises on your knees in that situation, I
think. Our bruises on his, because I mean, Cunyato be sitting there looking up like,
Once again, sea to shining sea, that ass would be kissed. Once again, I actually don't think that I would do that. I think I would hold true to my words. Like, you're an amazing football player, but sometimes you come off seeming a bit like a bitch.
Oh, well.
Normie,
mean,
what?
not that any of us do that sometimes, but it's just when you're on camera that much, you have a lot more opportunity to get it captured and then replayed or whatever.
Normie, what did you think about the Justin Tucker, Kelsey, and Mahomes interaction? Did you see all that?
I saw the video of it. I just find it odd, because it seems like that's what they do all the time, or at least the Justin Tucker part. But then also the Chiefs or Mahomes and Kelsey said that the only time that it's ever a problem that they warm up down there is when they go to Baltimore. I don't know. I think it's more of just like a game. And I think these guys, even with the pregame, they start messing with each other then.
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's a game within a game for sure.
And I think it's just that one of those things where Justin Tucker knows, like, all right, I could do this, and it's going to get under their skin, and I could just sit back and laugh. But I think it's just fun part of the game type of thing. You know, there were no like getting in each other's faces or anything like that. You could tell in the video, Justin Tucker just smiling ear to ear, like laughing about it.
And I love Justin Tucker, and I like all these kickers that do stuff like this. I mean, kickers catch so much shit all the time, but to have a little, gangster in you and just to go fuck with the face of the league right now. You're just going to go be in his way. Robbie Gould used to do. I mean, he would just kick wherever the fuck he wanted to, and got into it with the Rams multiple times, kicking over their warm-ups, kicking through their warm-ups, kicking over the heads of Dallas cheerleaders and shit. Like I like when a kicker has a little shit to him like that. And it cracked me up. The video was funny because he's just in there looking at them like, go fuck yourself, like give me a break. And I appreciate the way that Travis handled it, because Travis just goes and gets his shit and moves it. Yeah, Mahomes was the one that like Tucker would set something up, and then as soon as he turned his back, Mahomes went over there and kicked it away or whatever. It's like, come on, dude. at least wait for him to be looking.
Yeah, but I thought it was funny. I mean, it's like I said, if it had escalated into like fist or something, then it's like, okay, y'all are taking this way too seriously. But just the way it was, it's fun, it's funny. And I think it's a good thing for, just that trying to get in their head, just to annoy them just a little bit, just to kind of start that, like that little chip on the wall, the paint, taking the little chip of the paint and starting with pregame, so then that you can try and keep ripping that off until you can get a big chip off. I think it's just one of those things, but it's also fun.
It's a good time.
Well, I think Tucker's now on record saying that he thought it was like, haha, jokey. We're having a good time. And Kelsey, he's got the New Heights podcast. He's on the McAfee show. And then he basically says, I saw him winking at me. I kind of, I get where he thought that it was a good time. But for us, this was not playtime. Talking about that championship pedigree.
Yeah.
I was like, and he's like, I tossed his stuff away as nicely as I could have. I could have chunked that helmet 5 rows up into the stands. I could have chunked all that stuff. I just tossed it out of our way. And I don't know what the protocol is, but speaking of McAfee, he talks about how the specialists generally have to ask in the open field portion of the pregame stuff. Adam Vinatieri has asked, where do you need me to be to the opposing quarterback? And we're talking about Adam Vinatieri. Now, Adam Vinatieri is one of the greatest of all time. We are also talking about Justin Tucker, who is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And the game within the game, just trying to get, just get a little edge, get inside their head a little bit.
Yeah, that little scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully that little scratch will eventually evolve into a big scratch.
Unfortunately, I think sometimes that galvanizes somebody. Yeah, exactly. Backfire. It galvanizes somebody even more towards Okay, if this is how you want to play it, then this is how we'll play it. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be, for lack of a better word, you want to be a dick, and this is actually Kelsey's words exactly. If you want to be a dick, I promise you I can one up you on that.
Oh yeah, I could see Travis Kelce being able to do that.
It's not exactly shocking, right?
But it goes back to that thing where like he did just enough. Like
Yeah.
you said, he wanted to throw that thing in the 5 rows into the stands, but had he done that, then there may have been like some actual repercussions for what he did. He just picked
And
him up, kind of tossed him over
yeah,
enough to get his message across, but
so we're not
also
playing that
not going
game today.
over. Yeah,
Exactly. It's yeah, exactly. Like,
based on what I've seen, Justin was playing mind games. Doesn't excuse what Mahomes and Kelsey did, but it was probably fair play. I would say so.
that's kind of how I feel
Yeah.
about it. It's like, I don't think anybody was out of line. I think, like we were kind of talking about, like, that's the game within the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Justin Tucker's trying to get inside of their heads. They don't want any part of it, so they react the way that they do. And I mean, no one, like you were talking about, fists aren't flying. Like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
physical altercation. Although, if there had been a physical altercation between Travis Kelce and a kicker, that would be, oh my goodness, headlines on
Oh, yeah.
every newspaper. You can forget about the presidential debate, coming up for a little while, because, oh my God, Taylor Swift's boyfriend fought a kicker.
Yeah.
It's not a great look.
And speaking of old Tay-Tay, I guess she's going to be at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We're
Looks
not going
like
to
she
have a
made it.
Tay-Tayless Super Bowl.
Looks like she made it.
Looks like she made it. But
I mean, to be fair to Travis Kelce, he was amazing
yeah,
that game. Like,
I mean,
very specifically, those like 2 scoring drives that happened fairly rapidly.
11 catches for 116 yards and a touchdown.
He was incredible. I mean, he was catching everything, and I think he's already been in the conversation. I think at 34 years old, he's already been in the conversation. Like, he's closing in on possibly being the greatest tight end of all time. I mean, we're now closing in on, it's not all that debatable. This year was his first year, I think, in 6 years to not go over 1,000 yards. And it's because he had 984 yards instead, and then sat out the last game, 16 yards away from it. Broke Jerry Rice's record for most postseason receptions. Jerry Rice, yeah,
greatest football player of all time.
He's great. He was a great football player.
Maybe
not of all time, but
oh my
that's
God.
a debate for another.
I don't know. I mean, we don't have a lot going on today. It's Pro Bowl weekend.
But Kelce is really starting to push towards, you can't really argue that much more that he is the greatest tight end of all time. His first knock when he came in is that he's more receiver and more finesse than blocker. Well, guess what? He sharpened up, became a blocker, became like an upfront man, played with his hand in the dirt a lot. And then now, like, not only does he block off the line, or if he's in a bunch formation, block, there, but like, if it's another, like, he's an unselfish player a lot now too.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else catches the ball, 87's down the field, blocking downfield.
Mm-hmm.
So every single knock on his game, he's fixed it. So
also probably had the best season anyone with a mustache has ever had. Gardner Minshew had a good season last year.
We need to go back and look into the 70s, see who all was rocking the stash then.
Kenny Stabler rocked a stash a couple times, I think. Oh man. Well, I guess we did talk about Tay-Tay going to the Super Bowl, but Anything else?
Okay. He's 34. I'm of that age. I won't say it out here, just into the ether for whoever's watching exactly how old I am. But if it doesn't work out with Travis,
you're also 34.
Fine. Yes, I'm also 34.
If
it doesn't work out with Travis,
Kenyatta is the oldest in the group. Just for anybody listening,
just know that I love lavender haze. You know what I'm saying, Tay? You get it? You picking up my vibes?
I hope she is, because I'm not. I'm like, somebody else, getting this. Like, is he looking at the person behind me? Like, but yeah, we gotta. I'm so tired of Tay-Tay. I'm so tired of Tay-Tay in football.
Why does it bother you?
I can't get enough of it. Like, it has done more for the NFL than the NFL has done for itself, and we're talking about one of the most successful businesses on the planet.
If they weren't showing her, they'd be showing just somebody. So it doesn't matter that they're showing her. Like, that you're still only getting like what, a total of 11 minutes or something like that of a football game. You were getting like 11 minutes of football. Like, they're not going away from the game more often than they would any other time. I didn't let you finish. I asked you a question, didn't let you finish. Why does it bother you? Why do you not like it?
I don't know. It just, I'd rather them go to other, like, either people. I'm fine with people in the stands, like, or use that time to go to someone else. I'm just not a huge big Taylor Swift fan, and I think that probably is the biggest deal. I just not a huge fan.
Well, that's fair.
And then, I could even go in and put my tinfoil hat on and talk about how I think she's a psyop, but I'm joking. I think that's funny, and I love reading those things about people claiming she's a psyop. I don't think she is, but I think it's hilarious. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of her.
Who would be you like Darius Rucker? You're little Hootie and the Blowfish. If Hootie and the Blowfish were I'm just spitballing in the booth, would you be okay with Hootie and the Blowfish getting? Is it the musical part of it specifically?
If Sabaton was up there, I would think it was awesome.
Okay, that's
but
what
if Sabaton was there, they would also have their big tank that they have on stage too. So if that's up there, then that'd be fine with me. No, I'd still be like, why are they keep, and especially if they show them once, okay, fine. If they showed her once, okay, or like, I'm fine with them showing the Kelsey's mom.
I love Donna Kelsey. Everybody loves
Donna Kelsey because I don't know, because she's just like, it's one of those, like, she was just a normal person, but these past 2 years, really 2 years, been really thrown in that spotlight. But she still seemed to kind of just stay like the down to earth person. Like, she's there to watch her boys. Like, I don't know. I feel it's a popularity contest.
That's all Taylor's trying to do too. She's just trying to watch her boy. She's trying to watch her man out there, and
get some free publicity and extra
downloads. She doesn't need it. The NFL is benefiting from this. Not Taylor's not benefiting from this. As a matter of fact, she's catching so much hate because of it. He hates love. Yeah. What do you got against love, Tom?
I guess so. See, like I said, Mama Kelsey is football.
Yeah.
The thing is, she doesn't need the publicity, so why do they keep showing her?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
The publicity. She doesn't need it. They need it.
They're feeding off of her.
Yeah,
it's legit. Like, what was the stat about Kelsey's jerseys?
400% in the first week that their relationship became public.
That's insane. And you got girls and women of all ages asking about football and watching football specifically because she's there. I mean, it's fucking fantastic for the NFL. She's actually catching a lot of heat from NFL fans, which is whatever. But
this is not a symbiotic relationship. This is a parasitic relationship. The NFL is feeding off of Taylor. not Taylor feeding off the NFL. Taylor's a global phenomenon now.
I guess
worldwide. Kelsey is like a household name. You ask a 13-year-old girl who's never watched hardly a game of the NFL in her life, it's like, who's your favorite football player? Travis Kelsey. Like, what position does he play? I don't know. I know he dates Taylor Swift.
No, that's the thing is I bet they do know that he plays tight end. Like that's the thing. The Swifties are in it, dude. They get fucking after it and they know everything that there is to know. I guarantee you could like I know Michaela knows what position he plays. I mean, she probably would anyway, but like Swifties are fucking out there, man. They know all their shit.
Yeah, no, and that's true, Santana. I'm just saying, as far as like, it is not Taylor Swift using the NFL to get bigger. If she ran for president right now, she would win in a landslide.
Taylor, don't run for president, please do not.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe if
but
I mean, we probably need
they don't make it look very hard. So
yeah, we do need a miracle right now. Yeah. So maybe she is, and maybe my anger is misplaced. And also too, it has to do with I'm just never been a huge Taylor Swift person. And I like my football to be football-y.
Well,
I understand, and if people like it, it seems like more people like it than people that don't. So, hey, and if that's what works, that's what works. Yeah. So I'll give it to her. But I was really hoping for a Taylor Swiftless Super Bowl, but maybe next year.
Okay, here's how we know if it's a fix, Normie. If the halftime show is supposed to be Usher, and I can't remember who the other guests are supposed to be, but if it's supposed to be Usher and the other guests, and Taylor Swift appears and like does a number, all right, maybe there's a bit of a fix. At that point, maybe there's something at play. But I would bet my bottom dollar that there's. I think she knows it. I think that they know it. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's kind of going to be just how it has been. A lot of pictures or shots of her in her box.
Well, and I think she's finishing. I think she's finishing the Eras tour in Japan, like the day before. So she's going to be there. Obviously, she's going to be there. But
yeah,
there's a chance. What if it, plane gets a flat tire or something, can't take off?
But also too, if they break up and there's this huge like, her next album is all about traveling to football games and that person broke her heart or some shit like that, I will call shenanigans.
That's fair. That's fair.
I will call shenanigans if that happens.
I have no problem.
I will wait. Then it is, yes, she is profiting. Oh man.
It's a fun topic to talk about, like how we're doing right now, but all in all, ball still gets, it's on the field.
Mm-hmm. Still got to play the game.
Yep. And obviously there's people who think that, like there's like legit fixes and conspiracy theories that like it got designed to where because Taylor Swift has some type of involvement that the fix was in for the Chiefs. But we all watched that game. It's not like the Ravens were a bad team. They were a very good team. They've been a very good team.
They did. The Chiefs
all year. But
the Chiefs did benefit from, was it the Isaiah Likely? I think that they had the hold and it didn't get called. I mean, that's another thing about the Chiefs this year that have been talked about a lot. The penalties that are there or aren't there for them. There's a pretty significant hold that happens on Isaiah Likely that doesn't get flagged. He may catch that and score. So I mean, yeah, I agree.
There are penalties that could be called or should have been called or were called that weren't as egregious as they actually were.
100%. That I agree with all of that, but that has been under the microscope for Kansas City this year, and then you have a very blatant He adjusts the route, grabs the jersey. It's 100% a hold, and they miss it. But I've said for a long time, especially this season, and especially in regards to Kansas City, that like you just said, I mean, there are flags being missed constantly. A couple weekends ago, Cody and I were talking about Aiden Hutchinson and Nick Bosa about how that you just don't get the calls, and that's fine. But when you're under the microscope, and the head referee for that staff was
his first championship game to referee is Smith, I believe, was his last name. I can't think of his first name, but apparently the teams that he referees, the away team gets way more of the calls and wins at a much higher rate, like than any other referee who heads up a crew. So that actually, I'm not saying there's a fire, but I will say there might be a little bit of smoke there.
Well, I mean, in talking tinfoil hats, like I don't believe that any of this shit is like legit rigged. I think it would be almost. Now I'll look like an idiot in 20 years when a 30 for 30 comes out. But I just think that for a football game, it would be, there can be some major calls, but I mean, it would just be really, really hard to get a team all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong about that. I mean, there's probably people in the shadows that make whatever happen, but
I wouldn't say rigged so much as possibly they try and guide it.
Kind of pushed a little bit.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think we've all seen games that you kind of look at it and you go, shit, that seemed kind of like it was meant that they wanted that other team to win. And I don't know. You can't say one way or the other, but go ahead.
I will say Nickel Roby-Coleman did not pass interfere.
Dude, but see, that's a problem. That's one of my prime points, because it seemed we bitched so hard when the replacement refs came in, right? That season, or when they came in, it was miserable. Like it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen, to the point of like, what the hell? Like pay the real refs. Like, why can't get them back? This is clearly a lesser product. And then the real refs came back, and it really doesn't feel that much different. Again, if you have a significant player on your defensive front rushing the passer, they are going to be held a lot and not called for it. It is just part of it. And take Bosa off the board. I'll talk about Micah Parsons and how fucking molested he gets when he tries to get through the line. Like, and I understand where you probably, Kenyatta, we talked about this morning about at some point they probably said, hey, ease up, because these are the type of guys, Bosa, Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, Aaron Donald, these guys, if you don't hold them, they're getting to the quarterback. And we need, like, that's the type of stuff that I do think is manipulated.
We can't have a hold on every play.
Right. And they would, because that happens. Like, that happens. Those guys are going to get to the quarterback. So, and what makes, I mean, they've been changing the rules for years. Like, the offense makes money. Offense grabs the views. So we need our quarterbacks, Patty Mahomes, face of the league, Brock Purdy, baby face of the league. And and you get these guys because he's baby face. You get it?
Oh, he's baby face. I don't know if it's up the league.
But the joke was baby face.
I got you.
Because he's got a baby. He's a young man.
We're having a good time.
We're having a good time. I lost my train of thought now. Oh, but yeah, we want to keep these guys upright. Like, so you can't let Aiden Hutchinson just blast off the edge. You can't let Nick Bosa just blast off the edge. Parsons, wherever he's coming from, Donald, say, you know, like, so I do think that is stuff that 100% gets manipulated, and it's not even really questionable, because again, they have been changing the rules on the defensive side for years just to allow offenses to thrive.
That's why I hate that rule, or the possibility of the rule of the fumble out of the end zone. Same. I hate the change of it. Keep it the way it is. The defense, and I'm an offensive guy. When I played football, I played on offense, and I've always been an offensive guy. But I can see that today's football, they hamstring the defense so damn much.
Yeah.
And then you want to hamstring them even more? No, the offense should have discipline to not fumble the ball through the end zone. And if they do, it's the defense's ball. Because in the UFL, that's the rule. Like if the offense gets the ball back where the fumble happened, if it goes to the end zone, and I hate it, and I think it is it's the most like Pop Warner middle school football type of rule.
Participation
Like,
trophy.
yes,
Yeah.
like if it's middle school or like just if they're 9-year-olds out there and they fumble the ball through the okay, fine, yeah, give the offense the ball back. Let's do it over again.
See, but
This
no,
is the NFL, okay?
It's the NFL. It's the best of the best. But I think that should just. And you actually just brought up a good point there, because my argument for it has been like it is a more critical situation, so the penalties should be more critical. But not even thinking about how that takes something away from the defense again. Like you are further handcuffed. Like that should be again the situation is more critical. The reward should be more critical. So the defense, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, Normie, because I hated when I started hearing those rumors, and I was thinking, please, like, I don't think that that'll be a thing. And now it seems to be really on the table. And and it is a harsh penalty, but again, like, don't
fumble the ball in the red zone.
Yeah,
close to the end zone.
And it's a very similar situation in the middle of the field anyway, because you have a 50-50 chance of losing the ball or getting the ball back. I mean, that's probably not accurate, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a chance to get the ball back or give the ball away. So it's just this, I don't know, a bigger penalty. And I think that's absolutely, they should not change that.
I've got
Thank you for bringing that up. I'm pretty heated about that myself.
And I agree with you guys. I just keep it the same. It works. It's worked for, I don't know, however long that's been a rule. But if we have to compromise, first, second, third down, if it happens, offense gets the ball. Like if you want to get it back to the offense because that's a really harsh penalty, okay, you get it back to the offense. 4th and goal from the 20. Or if it's on 4th down, obviously just defense's ball. And so you got one shot from the 20 to get it in there. And once again, that's just a compromise you could do. I agree with just leave it as is. Like, that is sacred ground. That is where the defense has to dig their heels in, and you shall not pass. And,
and
if you're careless with the ball at that point, then
well, and it's hard to get there. It's hard to keep people out of there. I mean, sacred is absolutely the way you talk about it, because anywhere else you lose the ball, minor possible penalty, major penalty, turn the ball over. But yeah, you can't just hold on tighter. Like that's the thing. Just don't fumble there. Like it's one of those rules. Like that's something you can't do.
You have to be disciplined.
Yeah, don't touch the stove eye. Like don't fumble the football. Like just
agreed.
And it's just like I said, you're hamstringing the defense even more so. And then you're also, even though the defense forces the fumble, it's like you're still penalizing them even after they force the fumble.
Right. Yeah. I mean, say the Zay Flowers punch out by Snead in the AFC Championship, say it punches out the other way and goes out of the end zone. He gets the ball back
at the 1 or at the 1 foot line,
at the
1 inch line.
At the 1 after Snead made an incredible play to dive and punch that ball out. He just or
1 play from the 20.
I don't like
compromise.
I don't like it.
No.
Defense gets the ball. No.
I'm with you guys. I'm with you.
After 4th and 31, I don't trust any distance.
Why would you have to even say it?
Oh, well, we've devolved into talking about 4th and 31, so we probably should move on to this next game, because I know Santana's we got to bring his spirits back up now, because I know he's going to love this one.
Yeah. It was a huge relief. I've said a lot about what I, as a fan, I think what the majority of 49ers fans, and I think the team and staff have felt, is the pressure to be in the Super Bowl. Again, 4 out of the last 6, right? It may have been 4 out of the last 5. I don't remember, but a lot of NFC championships right here recently, and a loss in the Super Bowl. You have Brock go down last season. You have the dropped interception, which Kenyatta, when we were talking about that the other night, and yes, it wasn't 100% a game ender, but the way that game went, like, and
it was a momentum shifter.
It was a momentum shifter, and y'all went down and scored on that drive. If we intercept
100%.
there, probably make it a 2-score game after or have a chance to make a 2-score game. If not, take a lot more clock off. That's neither here nor there. A lot of shit has happened for the 49ers here recently, and this team has been put together pretty much for the most part in this grouping. So, Kittle, Juszczyk, Warner, plenty of these other guys have been in this exact situation before. I think, and I've said over the last couple of weeks that if 49ers don't get at least a Super Bowl with this current roster, it may be one of the biggest wastes in NFL history. And realistically, I think that they should get at least 2 with the roster. And if they don't, I think it's a big waste. So I think that there has been that pressure. At least I have felt that pressure. Maybe nobody else on the freaking planet feels it, but I have felt it. And so we go into that game. And I said last week, talking about the running backs, that the Lions' ability to run the football, that was going to be a problem for us. And dear God, was it. The Lions came out and smoked San Francisco. Like, they're against Green Bay, San Francisco played shitty, and Green Bay played really well. Against the Lions, I don't think that San Francisco was playing all that well. I think they were just getting their fucking asses kicked. And I said that. Kenyatta watched the game with me. It felt terrible. It felt awful. And I texted Cody, our resident Lions fan, and I said, this sucks, but I'm really happy for you and all the Lions nation. And he said, there's a lot of football left. And in my little 49er scarlet and gold heart, I thought, you know what? There is a lot of football left.
We just have to
do what?
You pulled a Cunyato.
Look,
every time in fantasy football, when I'm winning big and Cunyato sends me a message, hey, looks like you're going to win this week. You're doing awesome. Every freaking time I end up losing. One of them was in the playoffs, and
I'm either 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 on that.
Yeah.
And I never mean to be a jinx on that, but I stopped this year, actually.
Well, I got to a point where I wouldn't open his text messages until Tuesday. Once Tuesday hit, okay, I can see your text message now.
Well, then yes, that is exactly what happened. Because, it obviously all right. Let me hang on. I told you all about some stats that I wanted to talk about. Specifically, Montgomery and Gibbs combined for 106 yards in the first half, right? And in the second half, they ran the ball only 8 times for 34 yards. And now, listen, I know that San Francisco comes out and jumps up pretty quickly, right? Or not even jumps up quickly, but they come back, or they come out and it's like, oh shit, there's San Francisco. There they are. That's what we kind of expected to see. So I can understand the reason to I'm going to start trying to push the ball, trying to really put the foot on the throat type situation. But to go away from San Francisco's,
I had 2 people I had not talked to in a while text me about how good the Lions looked in the first half.
Yeah, should have turned your phone off, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
And it's gone.
Yeah, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, Michael Scott. But no, seriously, I am superstitious. Cody and I talked. I was like, I can't watch the game with you, but I just don't think that's the mojo for the situation. And then, but it got to a point, Cody, and I've been meaning to tell you this, that I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, well, shit. Now that San Francisco's getting their ass kicked, I kind of wish I was watching it with Cody so I could experience him experiencing all this joy. Because I mean, historically for the Lions, like what a season already without winning that game, but to have come in and then smash like the preseason number 1 team, and then if that were to have happened, but it did not, obviously. But all right, to get back on track. Okay, so They don't run the ball in the second half. Hang on. Okay, Sun God had 73 receiving yards in the first half, only 14 in the second half, and now everybody gets mad at Motor City head coach Dan Campbell for the going for it on fourth down. Yeah, for sure. Cody. And this goes back to what we talked about earlier in the about the first game, playoff like pedigree. Like San Francisco knows how to be there, and that San Francisco knows how to be there. And the Lions, they were not. The Lions have been one of my most overachieving teams all year. We've talked about it on the last few shows. They shouldn't have been where they were, and now they have an opportunity to build on that type of season. But it showed because on 4th and 2, first off, the fourth downs, I don't think either of those are misses. I think the fourth down that Dan Campbell misses is at the end of the first half, where he should have gone for it and tried to make it a 28-7 game versus a 24-7 game. That I think that's the only missed fourth down, because if he goes for it and gets the first fourth down, the 4th and 2 that goes off of Reynolds' hands, I think that may be. I mean, it's just going to be too hard for San Francisco at that point. Like, even though San Francisco came out and started playing better, that is probably the boot on the next type situation. But I mean, it's not just the fourth downs either, though. Going back to the pedigree, so Reynolds drops that pass. He drops another one on the 3rd and 10. They get pressured up the middle, and Goff flushes to the right and throws a duck to nothing on the next fourth down that they go to. There are a lot of things that San Francisco just stayed the course. Agreed. Yeah, you have to go big or go home. You have to take the risk. Especially to play right, and that's what got them there. I'm sorry, I'm talking to all the comments, but that's what got them there. They Dan Campbell did that the whole time.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. Obviously, that's a ripoff, like a straight ripoff of what Pat McAfee had said. But look, you had the momentum. You've got the momentum. At the end, you take the 3, or at the end of the second half, you take the 3. I think that was a smart decision. In the second half, you have like the Niners defense is locked up, like talking about like how the production offensively just fell off. And so when you get those opportunities, you know how this is the most talented roster in the NFL, has been since the first kickoff of this year. You have to try and wrestle the momentum back. I have no problem with them going for it. Like, I mean, did it pay off? No. But first off, Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, whatever, like, it was an execution issue, not a go for it issue.
Yeah,
and I love Josh Reynolds, but
again, in 3 or 4 years after the Lions have clawed their way into the playoffs again and again, those same plays may be completely different. Goff hits Reynolds in the chest as opposed to throwing it low into his right, and he makes the catch. Or just any of those. The decision to go away from the run game early, like there's plenty on that 4th and 2. As a matter of fact, if I'm calling plays, Ben Johnson, the amazing offensive coordinator, I'll probably send him an email after this just to learn him up a little bit.
Tag at least.
Give him a tag, and because he needs to know. I'm sure he hadn't thought about
Mark 59-47.
But for that 4th and 2, like San Francisco has been weak in the run all season. We talked about that last week too. Like, go again. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Do what got you there. The run game had both 2 1,000-yard rushers, and Jared Goff also threw for 4,500 yards. That offense was absolutely insane. But the engine was the running game, and the short yardage game is been David Montgomery all season long. Like, how you don't hand that ball off right there, I don't know.
I disagree with both of y'all. I think that the first fourth down in the third quarter, and I was with my wife on the couch, and we're watching it, and then he's out there, got the offense out there. He's like, no, kick the ball, kick the ball, kick the ball, kick the ball, kick the ball. No, don't do this. Holy crap, they actually did it. Oh crap, they didn't get it. And then, so they get stopped on that fourth down. San Francisco gets the ball, immediately drives right down the field, scores. That momentum right there. That was, and I, because my wife's like, why? It's fourth. I mean, it's only 4th and 2. Why don't they just go for it? I'm like, no, if they don't get it, because the thing is, they kick the field goal, they get the 3 points. Then, say San Francisco gets the ball, they drive down and score. It's not as big of a hit of 4th down stop. Then you get the ball, thrown down to, and the straight score a touchdown, like just kills the momentum there.
Well, and then the next drive, right? Isn't that the Gibbs fumble on the very next drive?
The Gibbs fumble on the very next drive.
Yeah, I told Kenyatta today, I said that's when I thought, like, I think we're going to pull this one out. And I didn't say it out loud because I would not jinx something like that. But I did think in my head, I was like, I think that's probably it. Because, again, you can just kind of feel, first off, momentum is a real thing, and you can feel it shift in games. And it goes back again to who can manage the emotional part of it. Because San Francisco just stayed the same. Like, they stayed the course, and then Brock did Brock things and got them to where we got them.
And then that second one, I mean, that's to tie the damn game. I mean, there's like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
That one you probably pull.
That one you kick.
That one you got to kick.
That other one, I could agree either way. I could argue either way, but that was the razor's edge of where the momentum was going to go. And so I understand, like, going for it, because if you get it, like, you can, like, rest it back and, like, hold it, probably, especially with, a dominant first half. But then losing it, you can lose the momentum, and you did. The very last one on that one to tie the game up, and then going forward, it's like, well, you've already lost the momentum at this point. Probably take the points, and see if an overtime or something might benefit you better. I mean, because we are quite literally talking about a 34. We are talking about a 3-point game.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and it makes me think that may have been part of the decision, was just San Francisco's, okay, I feel it. I feel the shift already. Like, the shift has happened. I need to take it back right this second. And so he's like, I either get it here or I lose it after kicking the field goal. And so lose now, lose later, or take a chance at winning it.
I would have taken the points. I look at it like this. Saban won a lot of his championship games by going against his tendencies. His tendency throughout the regular season is conservative. All right, we're going to kick this field goal. We're going to do this. In the championship games, the only time he ever ran fake punts, fake field goals, on a surprise onside kicks.
Yeah, that's true.
When were they always done?
Yeah,
that's in championship games. That's the only time he going on fourth down. Now he did loosen up on the fourth down thing a lot, especially like towards the end of bigger games kind of thing. But for the most part, championship games, like, that's what he did. And I think for Dan Campbell, it would have served him better to go against his tendency there and be like, you know what? Normally I'm like, let's go, but let's get these points. Let's get the points. Especially the second one, let's tie it up. Let's give our offense some kind of win and let's stop this, especially at that point, like, let's stop this bleeding. And then they can come to the sideline and say, hey, we've screwed up the second half so far, but we're still tied. Defense, let's go out there. We're good. We're right where we want to be. and then hopefully they can go out there and make some kind of stop. Now we'll say babyface Brock Purdy made some really pretty scrambles, especially that one late. I mean, it looked pretty.
Can we
We'll say
talk?
that.
Can we talk about just not even just what Brock specifically did, just the like really, really wow plays that happened in both games this weekend? I mean, you have Lamar tip a pass or catch a tipped pass to himself, gets a first down.
Yeah.
Obviously the Brandon Ayuk catch, which
Obiona has talked about that catch and the catch where
Brock has never thrown a prettier ball. How
yeah.
you pinpoint a pass to bounce off somebody's face mask?
Yep.
And
had to be on purpose. It was 100%
had to be
on purpose.
Yeah, and he could only hit it on one spot because you know how balls bounce. Like he had to hit it perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, and that I told Normie this before the show started that if the 49ers win, I'm getting a ladybug tattoo, like a San Francisco ladybug tattoo, because Ayuk said that a ladybug landed on his shoe before the game. He's like, so good luck. Well, and then another one landed. I could get into all the ladybug shit, but it was just really funny that's what he not hit the fact that he's one of the top 175 receivers in the league. Not that he's arguably the best route runner in the league. Not any of that. It's just a ladybug landed on his shoe. But then one of the most impressive plays, the third and Juwan play, Juwan Jennings, the Brock scrambles to his left, cocks it back right, and floats it up, and Juwan Jennings just elevates and grabs it one-handed. That was an insane play, and we needed it. Like that's the thing. All that shit came like they needed it, and
that was his only catch of the game, but it was damn well needed.
Yeah, it was, and it's insane. And kind of known for just if it's third down, we're probably throwing it to 15. Like that's
third and Juwan.
Yeah, he's so awesome, and that's the thing is like Brock made an incredible throw. Like he couldn't have thrown it anywhere else. Otherwise, he would have thrown it directly to the defensive end or linebacker, whoever's coming back over there, if he had thrown it just straight. But that catch, and to be able to get up like that, just.
I mean, the throw was exactly where it had to be, given where like Brock's situation, evading pressure and all that. He's scrambling left, has to turn his body, throw across his body, and then throw it, to the Eiffel Tower. And then Juwan's like, okay, I can be the Eiffel Tower. Just go up and one hand that thing. And it just had to happen. And then I think that the face mask play came right off of that one, didn't it? Or I might be mixing up my timeline there. But I don't know. Everything that had to happen started to happen for the Niners, which is also why I agree for I get both sides of the argument for the Lions going for some of the stuff that they went for, because you know that this is a team you have to keep down, boot on throat, like throttle them type of thing, because if you let them back in it, they have enough playmakers, enough talent, and excellent coaching. They will force their way back in.
And just enough gumption just to say, no, we're going to keep playing. We're not rolling over.
Yeah.
We're going to keep trying. And that's one of the bigger things of, hey, we're not quitting. Yeah, it looks pretty bad. We're down 17 points at halftime. This looks pretty bad, but we're not going to quit.
When apparently the locker room was just completely calm. They were all like, we're still in it.
Well, I mean, the week before, it was kind of the same kind of story of first half not really doing much, and then second half coming in just swinging. Like, all right, we got this now. It's time to play.
The difference on those, and the end result is the same, and I think that it shows again going back to the just being used to being there. Like San Francisco they do this. Like the Chiefs expect to be in the Super Bowl. San Francisco expects to be in the Super Bowl. They just can't get there the way the Chiefs are getting there. But so when they're in these situations, last week again, I thought they played like ass. Like Brock was not good for 3.5 quarters. We couldn't stay on our feet on defense. We're dropping passes. Like they played like ass. The Packers they played great. And then when we absolutely needed it, because the guys knew that they could do it, walk down the field, get what they need to get done. This week, I really don't think that anybody played that poorly, other than the Lions were just fucking kicking their asses. Like, it really was, like, the Lions played amazing. They took advantage of the weaknesses. They were brutalizing a team that is like notorious for being brutal to other teams. We couldn't get them off the field on third down. Like, it was a pure ass kicking. And I don't think that anybody, like, it wasn't that San Francisco wasn't playing well. It was that they were just being beaten. And they went in the locker room and said, hey, we just got to do this better, and we're going to do this differently. And they came out and said, we're us. Like, let's just go be us. And it's one of my favorite things to watch about this team, and has been for the last couple of years, because I feel like that team is extremely close in the locker room. Like, if you listen to the way they speak about each other, they all hang out outside of the games and stuff. It seems like a really close locker room. I think they have full trust in Kyle. I think they have full trust in Brock. It's a really neat thing to just, kind of witness as a fan. And I think that showed through, and not to take away from the Lions culture, I think that they are building that. Like, Dan Campbell told the team after the game, that may have been our only shot. And he said, do I believe that? No. But he was just recognizing how difficult it is to make that happen. But it would blow my mind if Detroit was in any less of a position to make it at least to the NFC Championship game again next year.
Yeah.
Especially with the coordinators coming back. I thought for sure Ben Johnson would have been out. But then when the coaching, which is another thing we can get into later, is the coaching cycle, how weird it's been. But when jobs started filling up and Ben Johnson wasn't going or hadn't gotten talked about much, I was like, yeah, I bet he's coming back to Detroit. And unfinished business can be a motivating factor.
On that point, actually, the only team that I can think of off the top of my head that I would guarantee that is going to be in the hunt next year. Well, actually, the two teams that I can almost guarantee that are going to be in the hunt next year, going back to that winning pedigree, and y'all's roster is mostly signed. I mean, obviously, you got a little bit of work to do in the offseason. You've got incredible cap room there at San Francisco. I'd be pretty shocked if Sam – and look, I'm doing it. Can you hear it? I'd be pretty shocked if San Fran wasn't in the mix. And then the Chiefs now under Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes have just kind of proven that, like, that those are the two. Everything else is up to chance. And no disrespect to the Lions. They've got a great roster, a great young roster. But I completely agree with Dan Campbell. It's hard. I mean, it is hard to get there. Like, the Patriots fooled you, made it look easy. Mm-hmm. And then, crazy enough, after that reign ends for a little bit, in fact, not even for a little bit, it's almost like exactly a transition. And then the Chiefs now have done it. And obviously you guys in the NFC with all of y'all's NFC appearances and winning the West damn near every year, which I hate. It just
they do that.
How many teams actually go to the Super Bowl? 2 every year, and a lot of it is taken up. That realty is taken up by very certain and specific teams, depending on their rosters right now. And I'm pulling for the Lions. I feel like if any team in the NFL that's not the Rams deserves to win a Super Bowl, it's the Lions. It's just, I am scared for them moving forward on that, because I don't think it's an easy journey. I can't think of that many teams right off the top of my head that are just going to be terrible next year. There's a couple.
And specifically in that division, and I know I'm arguing against the point that I just made, but specifically in that division, you have the Green Bay Packers that just, first off, beat the Lions on Thanksgiving, and then did similar things to the Lions. Like they could, if they almost beat San Francisco, it would have been the two of them playing. So you have the Packers or the Bears are in a position to stack their roster. We don't know what they'll be next year. But the Vikings were hurt this year. The Vikings were not bad because the Vikings were bad. The Vikings were injured. Jordan Jefferson was rocked up for most of the year. Kirk Cousins went down after throwing for like 9,000 yards against San Francisco. Yeah, so I mean that division in and of itself is going to be a tough navigation. And then not to mention whatever the rest of the NFC looks like. I mean, at this point, you would think that possibly 3 teams from the NFC West alone are coming out. I think the Seahawks probably make a pretty decent jump next year. It was a weird move letting Pete Carroll go, but their roster is pretty solid. But yeah, so no, I agree with you, Kenyatta, that it's difficult and it's only going to get harder. And Dan Campbell said that. He said next year it's going to be twice as hard. I just think that maybe the Lions have if I'm just going to go with positive side of this, maybe the Lions just have a jump on the other teams in their division as far as roster. And I think that culture is insane over there. Like I don't know anybody that watches sports or pays attention to sports or has ever participated in anything competitive that wouldn't just run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell. And nobody, I don't think anybody's going anywhere. Like the team will be different, but like where are the cornerstones that would break? I think you can only kind of get better from where the roster is right now, and it's already a pretty decent roster. So yeah, there's not a lot of teams that are going to be bad next year, but I think that maybe the Lions have enough of a leg up in the NFC North that they maybe at least get the wild card spot if they finish second in that division.
I mean, and once again, I'm pulling for it. I'm pulling for them to win the North. And once again, if it's not the Rams, let it be the Lions. I mean, they are diehard fans. That city poured out. In fact, the number one watched game of this weekend, going back to Taylor Swift, it was not Taylor Swift. It was the Detroit Lions at the Niners, because that city is passionate about their football. They have been for forever. In fact, it boggles the mind as to why sometimes, because they are just perennially bad.
I've always been so impressed with Lions fans and Browns fans because you kind of at this point have gotten to a point of just what's coming. Like, I mean, hell, me as a 49ers fan, when I talk about this a lot, that when I first fell in love with football and really picked a team, I fell in love with the 49ers, and it was like their last good year. They beat the Giants in the wild card game. I think maybe the season before that I'd gotten onto them or something, but beat the Giants in the wild card. I think lose the next game, and then after that it was just misery for so long. And not anything compared to what the Browns and what the Lions have gone through. But even I, at a young age, came to expect this is our year. I did the "this is our year" a lot, but but I also just kind of like, if something negative happened, I was like, yeah, that's where we're at. That's So when Harbaugh got there and everything changed, and now we live in this realm where I expect the opposite. It's
it's like going from being an Auburn fan to being an Alabama fan. Yeah, you
almost exactly, bud. That's almost exactly.
It's like you expect it. Like, okay, yeah, they made a great play. Oh, 5 false starts.
Yeah.
Like, well.
Go
ahead. We had our complimentary false start on this drive. Okay, it's out of the way. Let's go.
I'm pulling for the Lions, and I love Dan Campbell. I think you were talking about Santana. Like, I don't think there's anybody that watches. I know his introductory press conference, and then maybe a few after that. He's kind of finding his footing and exactly how to talk to the media, because some of that seemed a little bit off the rails. I actually loved it. It was entertaining. But now that he's really established himself in Detroit and has actually got the culture to the point that it is now, I mean, they took the best roster in the NFL right down to it. I mean, it took a third quarter swing to put the Niners back in it. It's hard to do, and pulling for the Lions. But there's this championship pedigree, which is also why, and I don't think that we're going to preview the game this week, but I'm excited to see it because it kind of seems like the two teams that are going to be playing both have it.
We definitely both do.
I'm sorry, just as far as like a side note on the game, there are some young heroes on the Lions, and the Lions have a really good roster. Sam Laporta is amazing.
I was just looking at his stat line.
I mean, he's just a dope. Like, it just.
I want to know.
They've got a lot to build on.
I want to know what Iowa does to their tight ends.
They turn them out, at least. But just thinking about some of the unside, like some of the more side stories. Obviously, he was not a side story in the game. He was amazing, but just guys and players, pieces that Detroit can look forward to. Laporta was. I obviously think that they thought he'd be good, or otherwise they wouldn't have drafted him. But he's been better than good. He's probably, after this season, a top 5 tight end right now. I mean, he's been amazing, and he was amazing in that game.
Definitely was. And then you add in, Jahmyr Gibbs, you add in Brian Branch, and looking to grabs, a good the rumors I've heard was that they're looking for a corner and could end up getting old Kool-Aid.
Or Arnold.
Or Arnold. I mean,
depending on which one goes first, which I've actually seen that Arnold is the higher projected.
As he should be, because he started off rough, but he definitely he finished pretty strong.
Well, and the fact that he's 6'4", 215, that is tough to find in a cornerback.
It definitely is. But all right, guys. Do y'all want to talk about the Pro Bowl stuff? It is getting close to 9.
Yeah, maybe just call it.
Yeah, because since they went to the flag
anybody
football,
in the chat room want us to talk about anything specific before we get off here?
We can talk about Coach Kelsey.
You can talk about Coach Kelsey, Coach Jason Kelsey.
All right, yeah, there's gonna be Coach Jason Kelsey. I'd be here for it. I mean, hell, would he go to the Chiefs just to coach with his brother?
He said that he was going to be with the Eagles next year, whether he was playing or not.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I mean, he's a Philly man.
And well, I mean, and we talked about it the other day about how the emotion on the sideline, the way that he was exiting the field after the last, you knew that something major was changing. And then he said on New Heights that he hadn't decided, and he hated that it got leaked that he said that he had decided or whatever. And so then later it comes out that I'll be with the team in some capacity. So yes, sir.
Well, me and the wife, because the wife is a huge Jason Kelsey fan.
Who is it?
And we watched that documentary and on Amazon, and just like seeing him, interacting with his teammates, seeing him interact with the media, like he's got coach speak down with the media, like just the way he carries himself there. He obviously has to know the game. So I think he'll be a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, we're
I think
also
he needs a
talking
little
about a guy who's going
experience
to like
first, but I think he
walk into
could.
the Hall of Fame at his position,
Yeah,
probably. I mean, but I agree. Yeah, get a little experience, get a little time, underneath the belt doing it. But I think he'd make a great coach as well. And America's sweetheart is his wife, or his daughters, or all of them.
Yeah,
And plus,
just that group.
just
Just that group. They're wonderful.
the Jason Kelsey clan. Mm-mm-mm. Well, alrighty. Any other topics? Anybody want to sneak in before we head on? Looks like Albiona is in agreement with us.
Hey, I don't necessarily want to talk about it, but I did write a whole thing on the Trey Lance stuff last night.
Oh yes.
yeah, we
Trey
can throw
Lance.
that in there because I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes.
The only thing that all right, so let me look at this. Also,
Don't let all this writing go to waste. I did a thing.
No, look, no, that was I told you that my brain was doing stuff yesterday, and it.
No, I'm just messing with you. No, I'm curious about it too. So what Santana's talking about is that there's a lot of social media, X buzz, Twitter buzz.
Yeah, I specifically just happened to be on Twitter at the time and looked down, and Trey Lance was trending. I don't give a shit. Everybody knows. Trey Lance was trending, and so of course I click on it because like, what could he? I mean, I don't think that he moved past third on the depth chart in Dallas at all this year, which is kind of shocking. But I mean, Cooper Rush has also been there for I don't know, feel like 10 years at this point. So I don't know, but so the report was, and this was from NFL Rumors, and reports. I don't know how credible this guy is, but said that if teams are talking that if they can't get their quarterback in the draft, that he would be a high option. Many front office people think he still has a high ceiling and just needs more snaps. And my initial thought on that was, yeah, like 100%. I said on this show before he got drafted that between him and Justin Fields, I started on Justin Fields and ended up falling in love with Trey. And then especially once we drafted him, I dove so hard into him to find out, like, am I okay with this? Do I like this? Or at least once he started, that's where the money started leaning. I fell in love with the kid. He's crazy smart. He's super, like, just sweet. Like, in his interviews, he just seems like a fucking nice guy. And then he has all the physical talent in the world. And so, yes, I do think that if you do not get the quarterback you want in this draft, go get Trey Lance, because I think that there are some offenses that he could really flourish in.
No one.
Sir?
I know one.
Yeah, I'll burn the building down. All right, but what then? So after I see what the news is, then I start just reading comments and stuff. And one of the things that I saw, and I forget the user, but it was John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan should go to jail for not giving this man a chance. And it's his highlight clips, like with San Francisco. And he shows athleticism. And I mean, like, and I've said for a long time, not many people can make the throws that Patrick Mahomes can. And I've seen Trey Lance do shit that just you shouldn't be able to do with a football. So everything that you drafted Trey Lance to be, he, like, physically is that. But watching the highlight reel, I just he has this hesitation before he throws, and it would work in any other offense, but it just kind of centered for me how important Brock Purdy is. And obviously I've been in major defense for Purdy or of Purdy for weeks on end at this point. But Brock, like Trey may even understand and read the defense the exact same way that Brock does, but there's just this very one motion, everything he does type deal versus Trey. Yes, Trey is 6'4", 230, runs a 4.5, and has this cannon for an like howitzer for an arm. And then Brock is the last pick in the draft, and he's this little water bug skidding around out there, letting things go. It just like it just be. I guess my point in a lot of what I wrote over here was that it worked out for San Francisco that Brock landed like he did. And it sucks that it didn't work for Trey, because I think Trey absolutely could have been successful eventually. Jimmy Garoppolo was good in this offense. There have been games from nobody quarterbacks who have been good in this, like had good games in this offense. Trey Lance, had he never if he doesn't break his ankle, he's probably still the starter in San Francisco right now. Of course, Jed York did just say today that Kyle Shanahan told him in Brock's rookie year that he thought that was the best quarterback on the roster, and they had Jimmy and Trey at the same time. So maybe I'm wrong, but what I'm getting at is I think that Trey can land somewhere else and succeed, but I don't think that he ever would have succeeded the way that Brock is succeeding in San Francisco. And not because of that's not a knock on him. It's just the fit. And it was something about like just the way that he let the ball go is just this half-second movement that because I was in love. I love Trey Lance. I wanted him. I pulled so hard for him. Even after Brock got hurt last year. I thought, okay, well, that was a great season by Brock, and goodness, was that great. I enjoyed that so much. But this, Trey will take it back in training camp. Obviously, that worked out not at all.
Mm-hmm.
They traded him to. I mean, they could have traded him to anybody. There's 30 other teams. Trade him to literally anybody else. And you trade him to Dallas. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I think I brought this up to you earlier, Kenyatta, that if Dallas would give him, I think that he could work there. I think that Trey actually still has a chance to, shock everybody and come don't call it a comeback type situation where he gets with somebody. Atlanta.
I was about to say, let's not run down all 32, but yeah, what do you think would be the best fit in a scenario where somebody kind of misses on the quarterback that they kind of want, but they still want a quarterback? And so
I assume that Atlanta is not necessarily completely done with Ritter, right? They just hired a McShanahan tree offensive coordinator. There's talent at the tight end position, receiver position, and
the whole McShanahan tree.
Yeah. They took everybody. They purged the Rams, took all the
cleaned
coaches.
my house.
All right, so Dallas gave up a 4th for Trey, and he didn't climb into the 2nd spot behind Dak. If you offer like a 5th and a 7th, maybe not even that may even be too much. I bet you could pull Trey, and then you have Ritter and Trey compete in the offseason. Trey has experience in that offense because played at San Francisco. I don't know. And then I think that he would look cool as shit in an Atlanta jersey.
They're sharp jerseys.
You know what? I'm gonna call Roger. I'm gonna call Roger and say, listen, this is what the script needs to say.
This is the
season.
script.
I'm gonna call Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call Taylor. Yeah. But what are some other ones? Where are some
Tennessee?
Tennessee. I was gonna say New England.
New England. New Orleans.
All right.
New Orleans, but I think they're kind of married to Derek Carr just based on contract on that one. But I could see where that would be an upgrade. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I'd say it didn't seem like they were much of a team down there.
Yeah, I have no, I'm not trying to prop him up or tear him down. I got nothing against Derek Carr. It's just the contract on that one. I think that they would have to move him to be able to bring in Trey. Well, I mean, probably bring Trey Lance in on the cheap. It's just that is a big contract to make a move like that where you're kind of making noise on whether he might start or not.
Kenyatta, what a story it would be for the Rams to decide, hey, we don't know where Stetson Bennett's future lies. We don't even know if that would be the guy anyways. Brings Trey to Los Angeles.
Fingers crossed.
He learns behind Stafford for 2 years, and then he becomes the next Jordan Love, and following up a Hall of Famer. And
I wouldn't hate it at all. I don't know if that's a move that we would make. We finally have draft picks this year. Oh my god!
Yeah.
In fact, we got more draft picks than we expected. But getting Trey, because I agree with everything that you said. And the guy's a physical freak. He does seem like just a genuine human being. He seems smart, all that kind of stuff. And then he's a gunslinger. Who's a bigger gunslinger in the league than Matt Stafford?
That probably didn't get made during the draft time for them, but yeah, I could see, because he does all the arm angle things. He does throwing against his body. We've watched plenty of in my time of look at him, he's so good, showing you clips the way that he can make the ball, what he can do with the ball, it's insane. So yeah, Stafford is also that exact level of arm. That's what Stafford is known for. And what a better way to be. Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen. But and then to finish, what a story would be is that he goes and then beats the 49ers for the first time that actually mattered in the regular season.
Hey, hopefully we can. This year we pulled one of two, but really, the one that we pulled didn't really matter.
Yeah, you beat
week 18 with not really starters on starters, and the starters that were playing got pulled.
But speaking of that, though, I don't know why we're talking about a future Rams quarterback when Carson Wentz is on your roster currently.
I'm a fan.
You know what?
If I had to pick between Carson Wentz and Trey Lance, I'm going Trey Lance, but I'm a fan.
That's an interesting discussion because, all right, so Trey Lance has the younger potential side, higher ceiling. We know what we've seen from Carson Wentz, but also we have seen Carson Wentz at some point be MVP level football player, start games, win games.
Until we took him out.
Yeah, way to go.
I'm not proud of that.
Well, I would hope not. But yeah, so we've seen Carson Wentz at his peak is a championship caliber player. We think that we know what we think we know what Trey Lance is. I don't know. I think, especially with the way that Carson Wentz specifically played in that game, I think that I might lean.
But we also know Carson Wentz's floor as well.
That's true. That's also, yeah.
He's got a pretty deep floor.
Something about fall that I'll never understand, how a player can be something and then be something completely different. You would just, and I have a hard time getting over that with a lot of players. This guy he'll come back because at one point in time he was this. And
yeah.
It oftentimes doesn't happen. And it's a wild thing.
Well, then just speaking on that situation, so yeah, he was probably going to be the MVP that year. He missed the last 4 games, I believe, due to a torn ACL, which he suffered in the Rams game, and played through that, which is incredible because I remember he was diving into the end zone. He just gets kind of hit in the side and his leg bends. And then I think, plays the rest of the game, which is incredible. And I think Nick Foles plays the next 4 games and then wins the Super Bowl and now has a statue in Philly, and good for him. But then he goes on to do nothing. Carson Wentz gets moved and does nothing. So it actually kind of is maybe not a chicken and an egg type of argument, but was it how good Carson Wentz was, or was everything just set up for success for whoever was helming them? I mean, they beat a Tom Brady led Patriots. Like two
handily.
quarterbacks have beaten Tom Brady in a Super Bowl, and that's Eli Manning twice and Nick Foles once. So, I respect and enjoy Carson Wentz, and I agree with you, Santana. He played really excellent for us anytime he was asked to come in, which is pretty infrequently, but obviously week 18.
I blame that loss in week 18 on the read option. We're just gonna run Carson Wentz. Who saw that coming? That wasn't on film. What the hell was that?
That's Sean McVay, baby.
They can't do that.
The first time he did it, a chill went up my spine. I was like, "That's not something they normally do." We're in for a treat.
That's Sean McVay right there, man. We will alter the game plan for the talent that we. It doesn't have to be my game plan. I'm going to game plan around the players I've got. And that's a smart coach.
That's what makes him beautiful, baby. When that's him, the McShanahan tree. We talk about it often, but all the coaches that have sprouted from this, like Salah's the one that's having the hardest time. Everybody else has been pretty successful. And I think
Ryans won a playoff game in his first year with a rookie quarterback.
God, I love DeMeco Ryans. I love CJ Stroud. I love the Madden trade they did to get up there to get Will Anderson. Again, I mean, like talking about the Lions overachieving, just this has been a really overachievement driven, postseason. It's really exciting. Like
the Browns bringing in Joe Flacco to resurrect their
That's comeback player of the year. I don't think that there's any argument. I've seen some of the graphics for who it might be, but it's got to be Joe Flacco. Sleepy ass, falling asleep on the sideline. I don't care, man. Like Joe Flacco's got to be comeback player of the year. Anyways, keep going.
He said give it to Hamlin. I mean, he died on the field. It's pretty big comeback.
He did come back.
He died on the field and came back before Michael Thomas even got back.
Michael Thomas still playing? Jesus.
Michael Thomas said something recently on one of the social medias about just wait. Like I'm coming back. It's like
we've been waiting.
Yeah.
Well,
years.
Yeah, but he hadn't told you. He hadn't told you to yet. So now he has. And I know who I'm drafting in fantasy next year. So
have fun with it.
Speaking of Derek Carr. Hey, I actually don't think the Saints are in that bad of a shape. And I really don't think that anybody in the NFC South is in that bad of shape other than Carolina. And I realistically do not think that they are that bad off. That defense has a lot of bright stars. I think they have to re-sign Brian Burns this year. I think I could be wrong about that, but a lot of bright stars on the defense. Defense kept them in a lot of games. I mean, Bryce struggled at times, but I mean, you protect Bryce and you get him some weapons. I know we talked about this recently, but
an offensive lineman or a wide receiver that's
it's not
past his
geriatric.
prime.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
But anyway, that division is not far off from being. I mean, I guess this goes back to the Lions conversation that the league's going to be pretty gosh darn good. The league's not, or that division's not far off.
There are just no teams out there that seem like they're just going to be the basement. Even the basement teams this year, I can see where the Bears could turn around.
The Patriots aren't going to be.
The Patriots actually do kind of seem like they are. It's
but
going to be tough.
If we're just going NFC, play the game.
Well, you got the Rams. Probably not the basement.
I mean, worst team in that division, Arizona, and I don't
Kyler
think
came back very strong. Niners aren't going anywhere. Seahawks, we'll see how they do underneath new leadership, but
the roster's there, and
the roster's there.
They've nailed 2 consecutive drafts. See what they do in this third one, but that roster's there.
NFC North, obviously the Packers are coming on. They overachieved, very young roster, like just so very young. And then you've got the Bears. That's probably your biggest question mark. Obviously, the Lions aren't. They will be competitive. Also, Cody, if you're still listening, nothing about me saying that they would have a very difficult time getting back to the NFC Championship, let alone a Super Bowl, is because I think that they're going to be bad next year. They're going to be competitive. They have a great roster, great head coach. It's just very difficult to do in an increasingly more difficult league. And then you've got the Vikings. They're not going to be the basement. Vikings are never the basement these days.
They won't be the basement. I mean, they weren't the basement this year with Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs and whoever else started games for them this year.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs started a couple games for them.
And
a hell of a game. His first start with them, and he'd only been there for like 5 days.
Yeah, they're a well-coached team and a good organization, and we'll see what happens with Cousins. He made a comment about if Belichick got hired, because he is supposed to be a free agent this year. He made a comment about Belichick that had he gotten hired as a coach, he would and wanted his services. He would be stupid to turn it down. So I don't know that he's like married to coming back to Minnesota. Also another place that I could see, as a matter of fact, Kirk Cousins should be the guy that Atlanta goes for. Like, if he's not going to go back to draft a guy in like the second round, third round this year and try and sign Kirk Cousins, because if the offense for Atlanta with those weapons look anything like what happens in Green Bay, San Francisco, LA, then that would be a great player he's been operating that system for a long time. But yeah, so no, the Vikings aren't. We'll see what they do at quarterback, but they'll probably be competitive at least, which makes that, again, just makes that division difficult.
And the only one out of the ones we've talked about of 8, Bears, questionable. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then you go to the East. Cowboys are loaded. Eagles are also still loaded. I think that they do have to do some financial footwork to hold on to some of their talent. Commanders, the Commanders live in the basement, but we'll see what the new regime does. So Bears and Commanders so far. And then, Bears, Commanders, Giants.
Yeah.
Oh, another person, team that could use Trey Lance's services.
Well, and especially if you're moving on from Daniel Jones after just signing a major contract, somebody you could probably get for pretty cheap. Like, it
contractually be tough.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you move on from Daniel Jones, take his money hit, and then move on or trade a, I don't know, again, 5th-ish pick for Trey Lance, and I think that his contract is, I mean, it's still his rookie deal, so.
Well, and then since you're trading him for picks and whatnot, and like legit, like later round picks at this point, I think that guy's doing just whatever he can to stay in the league. So I don't think he's going to demand a high salary, even if you have to re-sign him to like the vet minimum. Not that I don't think you'd go for the vet minimum as far as what he'd get signed to.
What do you feel about this? He goes to the UFL and plays there.
For Birmingham?
For anybody, honestly.
I would like him to go to Birmingham so we can.
I would like it would go to Birmingham too. I do like Jamar Smith, and Alex Magoo is probably not going to be coming back anytime soon because
he's still on the Packers roster, is he?
Yeah, it seemed like the Packers were wanting to keep him, even just on their practice team. So Hey, you get meaningful snaps. You can get a lot of them, and he could go down there and prove himself, and then say, "All right, well, give me a shot in the NFL this year." And with
I mean,
that, you go straight from the end of the season UFL right into pretty much the uh, the training.
one of the greatest of all time had to go hone his game in the CFL, in Kurt Warner. I
Yep.
mean, it's not unheard of.
I thought you were going to say Jeff Garcia.
No one says greatest of all time and then follows that up with Jeff Garcia. No one does that.
All the intelligent people do.
You mean the greatest of all time, Brad Johnson?
I mean,
Hey, he won a Super Bowl.
I was about to say,
Hey,
he got a Super Bowl. He's got a ring.
Some of those quarterbacks of that era that got rings, like I think that we give them too much shit. Like Brad Johnson, Rich Gannon is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, like legit one of the best. But like the way that we look at some of those guys in that time, Trent Green, do you remember? Started with the Rams for you, Kenyatta,
Yep.
And then like some of these guys just don't get talked about that much. And I know that all three of the guys we just mentioned do get talked about often. I'm saying like that era of football, because of the way that it is now, everybody throwing for. I mean, the fact that Brock Purdy broke Jeff Garcia's single season passing record and not either Steve Young or Joe Montana.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible.
Right. And it's not like they weren't throwing. Like kind of the Bill Walsh West Coast deal was like, oh, look, they're throwing, and I don't know. It's just wild to think about the changes of the game. I like to talk about that stuff because
We got a Nick Foles sprinkled in there in the past couple of years. So, I mean, the tradition is still there, just doesn't happen as often.
Hey, unsung heroes, man. They'll come in, they'll do their thing, and then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just thinking about the stuff like, again, Brock just had this amazing season, and thinking about the quarterbacks that have gotten there, specifically about that time too, Dilfer, like he was not amazing at the quarter. There's no, but we recently, Rex Grossman played against, right? Like, I think we all remember that Bears game.
That is about as forgettable as it possibly can get there, buddy. Devin Hester returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and that is about all the Bears had in the tank.
Was that Manning's first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In the rain. Yeah. Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith, the head coaches at the time. Yeah.
Who was that Carolina when the Patriots beat them on that late Adam Vinatieri field goal?
John Fox was the head coach. Jake Delhomme was the quarterback.
Jake Delhomme.
Yeah. Musa Muhammad and Steve Smith.
Oh, Jake the Snake. That's a forgettable name who actually, once again, statistically, probably if you go look at him, I mean, he had a good career. But I agree.
Yeah, it got Carolina to the Super Bowl that year, and
and lost on a late last second field goal.
Yeah, classic Vinatieri.
Classic Patriots.
That was a really good Super Bowl. We got to think about how fortunate we've been as all the cool shit that's happened in sports over the years, and we got to live through as young people the fucking Brady shit. Like, our people slightly older than us have Jordan, and we've got Brady. Like, we just watched this this uncontrollable force for so long.
Well, we got not only did get Brady, but we got Kobe and Shaq at the Lakers, kind of like we were talking about before the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And we got that craziness too. And that three-peat. And
then we're getting older, but then LeBron happens. And yeah, I mean, we've lived in, we talk all the time about sports science, sports exposure, and just the way that people are taking care of themselves, or the way that they are training early. Like, I think that more than likely, like, sports just continues to just be better each, generation, because it's building on itself.
Well, I would 100% agree with that. And we've had this, I think all three of us have had this conversation, whether it's all three of us together, or me and Normie, me and you, Santana, whatever, Normie and Santana together. The difference is and going back to the Chiefs thing, is some of these guys make it look easy. And I don't know if it's Reed. I don't know if it's Mahomes. I think Kelsey's been there for the whole run of 7 years. We thought that we would never see anything like the Patriots dynasty ever again, and what Tom Brady did or what Jordan did. Obviously, Jordan did what he did, and Kobe got, just that close with 5 rings opposed to the 6. Now, is Patrick Mahomes Kobe Bryant to Tom Brady's Michael Jordan? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
These people pop up that you think, because this has never been done in the history of sports for at least the NFL.
I think currently you have to wait.
History of NFL.
We're in a sit and wait. I would say that, like, what he's accomplished now is clearly not what Brady has, but he's also done this in his first 6 or 7 seasons. Like, he's got some time to maybe even prove that he's the Jordan.
Could be. I mean, and that's what we're here for. That's why we're sports fans.
Well, and again, though, I mean, just talking about, like, we saw Nick Saban do something that I don't think will ever be, like, done again or even come close to, really. But then think about it, and there's a good fucking chance that Kirby Smart does do that. Like, Kirby Smart is in a position to just do what Saban was doing, especially now that he's unchecked because Saban's gone.
Yeah, he doesn't have Saban to go beat his ass 5 times.
We watched Tom Brady and Peyton Manning do this really fun dance for a little bit before Tom Brady said, "I'm that guy." And we're like, well, nope, we'll never see something like that again. How could we? That's unheard of. Belichick too. Like we'll never see an NFL coach do that. And then kind of quietly for Andy Reid has been just quietly arguably the best coach in the league. Just then he gets a Mahomes, and now we're like, we'll never see the Brady shit. And then now Mahomes has already done this. It's just going to keep building on itself. Like, what if a quarterback that's going to be the next Mahomes is already, like, in college? Like, the gap could be closing.
Agreed. I think it's why here at Brothers-In-Flaw, we just have to keep our minds fluid and open, because we can't just get stuck in an era because you say that it can't be done, and then you see crazy shit happen. Like the torch didn't even have to pass for all that many years. I mean, Kobe and Jordan played against each other. Tom Brady is one of the only quarterbacks, one of 2, that's eliminated Patrick Mahomes from the playoffs. Him and Joe Burrow, I believe. I mean, it can happen like that. You see it happen, and it's so incredible because nothing like it's been done before. But then you start seeing, like, well, now that they've done it, they've set that bar there, and then people are immediately trying to reach that exact bar. And some of them are within, reaching distance. That.
I don't know, man. I think that where Mahomes is right now, especially if he wins 2 weeks from now, or not 2 weeks, but next Sunday, which I just, God. But even, I mean, Brady lost games in the Super Bowl, like
3 times out of 10 appearances. I know he's a real piece of shit, that one.
Okay, but so maybe Patty can take his losses early and his wins late versus the other way around. I don't know. Yeah, I think that Patty, I mean, even if he doesn't win, I think that he's already there. Like, he's all on pace. I mean, like,
Oh, he's definitely put himself in the conversation. Like I think that Santana, you and I talked about it not too long ago. Like if his career ended right after next Sunday, he plays in the Super Bowl and his career ends, win or lose, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's already done enough.
2 MVPs and all the Super Bowl wins and appearances, like in his first 7 years of existing in the league. Yeah,
and quite literally played his first starting. So he's played 7 years, 6 years as a starter. This year, 6th year, first time that he has an away game in the playoffs. They won the AFC Championship his first 5 years as a starter. It's pretty incredible. Like the road has to run through Kansas City to get to the playoffs, and then you think, okay, maybe it's not in Kansas City where I hear they have incredibly good fans. Maybe we can get them. Buffalo in the snow. No, you ain't got us. And then Baltimore and the bank. Nope, ain't here either. Turns out Chiefs are just the Chiefs, and Patty's really, really, really good. So,
and again, going back to what we were talking about 4 hours ago, or however long we've been doing this, they showed up. He showed up, and it shows. He knows it. That's where he lives. It's part of his and Andy's and that entire team's DNA. Like, I am really bummed as a 49ers fan that it's the Chiefs. I wanted the Ravens. I wanted the Ravens again. I wanted to prove that game at Christmas was I thought I wanted a rematch with the Ravens, and not necessarily just because of the rematch with the Ravens. I wanted to not have to see Patty, and here we are, and great, because I also love getting this. We're wearing the same jerseys. I forgot what the weird stat is about teams wearing
16 of 19 of the last Super Bowl champions have worn white jerseys.
And one of the only few who have been the Chiefs against the Niners in 2019. So same situation. Again, I mentioned it earlier about how much of the roster is similar, but how much of the roster is new too. I think that I don't know. I just wish I just wish we weren't playing Patty, I guess, is the overall where I'm at.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for it.
As soon as it Sunday was over, I thought, God, it would be great if I was not a 49ers fan right now, because this would be a really fun Super Bowl to get excited about to watch.
Well, before we get too deep into that, we're going to save that till next week. We will give all our Super Bowl preview, and me and Cunyato will give our picks. I know Santana is going to abstain. Go ahead and tell you, but I'm sure he'll provide more commentary on it. He'll have a better insight into it, considering it's his team that's in it.
We may have to do a show every day next week.
He will finish the season 5-5 on his picks. Very respectable. Normie 9-3, incredibly respectable. 8-4 for me. So I might have to wait until you pick, and then just pick whichever one you don't pick. Try and tie this thing up. But no, obviously I'm going to pick who I actually think will win either way. But I'm excited about it. So that's an exciting upcoming show for those of you who are watching and those of you who might watch on the replay.
Yeah, but it was another fun show. I can't wait to talk about this upcoming Super Bowl next week. So we'll be back here Thursday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Thank you for everybody who was in the chat. We really do appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for anybody who watches this replay. And if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and put it to all, so that you get, anytime we go live, anytime we put out a video, you will get a notification. So
I swear we won't irritate you.
No, we won't. Well, at least we'll try not to.
I might.
Santana might, but
Santana might.
but anyway, it's been a great one, and we'll see y'all next week.
See you guys.